Talk about the top stories. First, we have a string of updates in the FTX scandal. U.S. officials are seizing $465 million in Robinhood shares tied to Sam Bankman-Fried. A U.S. attorney told the bankruptcy court that the DOJ didn't think the 56 million shares belonged to the bankruptcy estate, and that the debate over claims to the shares could be worked out in future hearings.
Today, FTX lawyers in the bankruptcy case have pointed out that the Justice Department in the criminal case is in the process, or potentially has already, the language wasn't very clear, seized the Robinhood shares that were originally bought by Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, the situation that's interesting here is they were bought through a shell company called Emergent Ventures. And at one point during sort of the last days of FTX before they filed for bankruptcy, they were also these shares were promised as collateral to BlockFi, the crypto lender that went bankrupt because of FTX. So there's a bit of a change up between the creditors, BlockFi being one of the largest, who are trying to get their hands on these shares now.
The US government has seized or in the process of seizing hundreds of millions of the dollars of Robinhood stock markets against the case of Sam Bankman-Fried fraud, which is the owner and the former CEO of failed cryptocurrency exchange FTX. Lawyers said that in the court on the Wednesday. Before we start the video, please subscribe the Bitcoin Thinking channel and turning on the red notifications button. We are updating daily videos on the cryptocurrency, Bitcoins, as well as the FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried latest news. So without wasting any time, start today's topics. At the time of the January 4 from the Reuters, the US officials told the judge that we are in the process of seizing FTX assets tied to the FTX and the former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, which includes 56 million shares of the Robinhood and worth roughly $468 million at the time of the publications. The report comes a day after a judge in the criminal case against the Sam Bankman-Fried ordered him not to access or transfer any cryptocurrency or assets from FTX or Alameda. Shapiro said that the asset has been seized, or we are in the process of seizing assets from a number of banks. Some of them are Silvergates, a lender closely tied to the FTX and could be later subject to civil or criminal forfeit proceedings, a process to top criminals benefiting from the proceeds of the crimes. A Sullivan and Cromwell attorney appearing on a screen labeled Brian Glosstein, who represents FTX, later said he wanted to clarify that these seizures were tied to the Department of Justice's ongoing prosecutions of the Sam Bankman-Fried rather than FTX bankruptcy case as a civil matter. The government also is control of assets in the bank accounts that were a part of the bankruptcy case involving one unit of the FTX empire in the Bahamas, said James Bromley, a lawyer leading the main FTX insolvency proceedings in the US. The seizure began against the fraud case of FTX company and his former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried and his officials. The federal authorities are moving to seize hundreds of millions of the dollars tied to bankruptcy cryptocurrency exchange FTX and his former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, a sign that the battle over control of the company's remaining fund is escalating. Officials says that US DOJ has seized or in the process of seizing assets linked to FTX, including $450 million in the Robinhood shares whose ownership is being disputed. The US prosecutors are going to seizing markets and the shares of the Robinhood include tied to Sam Bankman-Fried, who has been charged with the fraud in the collapse of the FTX cryptocurrency exchange, US attorney told the judge on the Wednesday. The Department of the Justice did not believe the 56 million shares of the Robinhood worth about $465 million were the property of the bankruptcy state. U.S. Attorney Seth Superior told the U.S. bankruptcy judge John Dorsey, who is overseeing the FTX bankruptcy. Thanks for watching today's video. If you haven't already, subscribe the Bitcoin Thinking channels and turning on the red notifications button. See you next time.